So I'm going to start with Nick Neiman. Nick Neiman is an accountant and a lawyer, and has authored 2 books. His most recent book is The Next Move, which deals specifically with our topic today. He has spoken at numerous business conferences, such as the McDonald's National Conference. He's a practicing business owner advisor, working with owners throughout the United States to develop and implement plans to protect, grow, and transition ownership of their company. So I'm going to turn it over to Nick, and welcome Nick, and let him elaborate a little bit on his expertise.
Thank you, Tim, and thank you, Homestead, for having us here this morning. Welcome to everyone, and it's nice to be here on this panel to talk about succession planning. A little bit of my background: I've been involved in this field for over 25 years and working with various business owners and franchisees during that time. Also, I've had a chance, really from a personal perspective, to help my own parents work on the succession for their various businesses. They've been involved in, amongst other things, the supermarket business and the restaurant business. And some of those have been franchise concepts as well. So this is a process. Succession planning is a process. It's not just one event that happens today. It's a process that really occurs over a period of time, and it's necessary to put certain things into place early on so that you're as prepared as you can be to deal with whatever succession needs that you have. Now, what I've found in working with business owners that have come in over the years is I find that business owners are very good, by and large, at what they do. They're very good at running their business. They understand their markets, they understand their margins, they know what they're doing. But they enter onto an uncertain turf when you start to talk about succession planning. It's not part of your day-to-day. And so what I find when owners have come in, I find they come in various sort of stages of how prepared they are. And I put some names, over the years I put some names on what I call their plans, because everyone has a plan. You have a plan today whether you know it or not. It's just a question of how good is your plan and how good can it be. So I may see some people come in and it's what I call a junk drawer exit plan. And you can imagine they come in and may have a will they did a few years ago, they might have an insurance policy they put in place, or they might have a buy-sell agreement, and these things may not fit. And what we're after are plans where things fit together. I'll see some others that come in, and I've given a name to this one. I'll call it the iceberg exit plan, because it's a plan where they've considered some important things, but it's really just the tip of the iceberg as to what they ought to really consider. Some others I'll call the ostrich exit plan, and this is where they've just sort of put their head in the sand, and maybe they don't want to deal with it. Maybe they'll deal with it later, but you understand how that can work. So at least if they're ready to deal with it, and we can take on the questions and the issues straight up. So what I did over the years, I found that what works the best is to have a system. As you're familiar with franchise world, systems work well, and the same thing is true in succession planning. If we have a system in place that we can work that system, we can make sure we cover what's needed. So as I went through over the years, I eventually just put it down in my book and said, let's see what works. Let's put it down, let's write about it, let's have it in one place so that people can read it and understand it. And what I did is I focused on really 5 main areas that you need to work on. And in your packet, you'll have a couple things. One of them is what I call the bubble chart. And you can turn to that if you like. But what I want to do with business owners is to first walk through these 5 areas. And the first is really to decide. It's to decide what I want and decide what I've got. Now, also in your packet is a little article that deals with some of the what is it that I want. And we go through some key objectives that I call the who, what, where, when, why, and how much. Who do I think I want to transfer my business to? Is it my family? Is it some key people that work for me? Is it an outside buyer? What do I think I want to do? Who, what? What is my business? How is it packaged? How is it put together? What is it that I'm going to be transferring? Who, what, where? Where do I want to be after I'm done with this process? What state do I want to live in? Sometimes that can affect my tax planning. Who, what, where, when? When do I want to exit? Do I have a plan? A lot of people have a plan going in. It might say it's my 10-year plan, it's my 5-year plan, it's my 15-year plan. It doesn't need to be definite, but you ought to have some idea as to when you think you want to transition. Who, what, where, when, why? Why am I involved in this? Why do I want to ultimately transition? Is it my retirement? Is it to make sure my staff continues to have good jobs, make sure that my seniors continue to be well cared for? And how much? In the end, there tends to be some economics involved. What is it that I need to really draw on as I build my business, and in the end, how much do I expect to try to be able to sell it for? And so we'll speak to some more of those issues today. The second is to protect my family with a good business owner estate plan, protect my business with a proper asset protection plan, and protect my ownership with a buy-sell agreement. So I want to make sure I'm protected. Third area is I want to grow. I want to grow my personal investments because that helps everything to work. Do I have a good wealth management plan in place? And I want to grow my business because if I don't grow it right, if I don't have the model set up right to really grow this business, I don't have anything that I can pass on. So we need to focus on how do I grow and build my business. The fourth area is to prepare my management team. So if that's my future, I have someone to transition to, or just so I know they're with me, they stay with me. Maybe sometimes I might give some ownership to some of my management or some other kind of incentive plan to keep them in place. I want to prepare my company. There's some housekeeping things, and Steve will speak to some of that in terms of the proper accounting and tax planning. And the third prepare is really my tax plan, overall business and personal tax plan to make sure things fit together. The fifth area is my exit. I want to look at what is it I need to do today to be prepared for an inside route exit to family or key people, or an outside route exit to a third-party buyer. What steps do I need to take today? We put all that together, we call it a transition growth plan. It's something that we want to put into place a good 5 to 10 years ahead of when you expect that you might want to exit. Okay.
Very good.
Tim?